It's time for the North Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome in another edition of the North Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, breaking down the top athletic stories in high school sports in Districts 1 and 2, week in, week out in the great state of Idaho, coming to you live on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, Facebook page, and X account. You can watch the North Idaho Prepcast anytime on replay at those three destinations. You can also listen to the North Idaho Prepcast at IdahoSports.com, along with wherever you download and subscribe to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, etc. The North Idaho Prepcast is brought to you by Cornerstone Insurance Northwest, cornerstoneinsurancenw.com for more details. From airplanes to Airbnbs and everything in between, they insure property, items, even like if you're a talented broadcaster, they'll even insure your voice if you need it. And that is in 5 states: Idaho, Oregon, Washington, Montana, and Oklahoma. So Cornerstone Insurance Northwest, cornerstoneinsurancenw.com. Enough from me. My name is Brandon Baney, but the guy we all really came to see today is our North Idaho resident and expert, Ryan Scaggs. What's up, Scaggs?
I mean, if you're waiting to see me, I mean, you got to get on with your life. But yeah, thanks. I appreciate the kind words.
Anytime. I did my good deed for the day. So
yeah, I mean, we finally get our first couple days of nice weather for the spring. Like, it truly feels like spring outside. And we had a whole slew of events yesterday. Today being Wednesday, March 26th. And the schedule is going to be chock full and loaded for the next foreseeable future until we obviously approach district time and state tournament time and state meets and all that fun stuff. But we've got almost every country club sport under the sun going on, and then you throw out baseball, softball, and track as well.
Yeah. Here is Sam Buffington, our favorite, here in the chat on X. You guys are late. It's past 10 a.m. Yes. We normally do the show Wednesday mornings, 10 a.m. Pacific time. We went an hour later today because, well, sometimes, we just get busy. And so,
I mean, work, my other work, calls. So I had a 9 a.m. and a 10 a.m. appointment this morning. So here we are at 11 o'clock.
Yeah. Hey, it's all good. Let's get to what happened. I mean, so we talked about on last week's show, baseball and softball. A lot of them were going to get out of town and go compete elsewhere because the weather up here was not great. And so we had a slew of teams go down and compete at the Win the Pitch softball tournament down in the Boise Valley. And we had a couple of baseball teams go down for the Bucks Bags tournament down there in Boise. A couple of softball teams went over to Tri-Cities for the Richland Mixer, the season opener there. And so if you want all of those results, we are fully up to date on every single statewide baseball and softball score. So when you look at the standings, when you look at the scores, you can feel confident that this is the most accurate picture of what's going on in Idaho. No other site can make that claim. It's all at IdahoSports.com. And then once we got past all of those kind of weekend spring break type invitationals, we got back into just kind of regular season conference play this week, Ryan. And we have had no shortage of walk-offs and exciting games here over the past couple of weeks, including just several yesterday. Let's start on the baseball side, where Lake City and Lewiston went head-to-head in an Inland Empire League doubleheader. This does count in the IEL standings, even though Lewiston is now 5A, Lake City is 6A. They're still doing that combined 6A, 5A conference thing, and so these results do count for both teams' conference ledger. And Lake City takes both games of the Twin Bill by a single run. They win the first game basically on a walk-off walk in the bottom of the 7th inning. Bases are loaded. Kyle Johnson at the plate draws the bases loaded walk. Lake City wins 3-2. Then in the second game, Lake City pulls it out again late, this time in the 6th inning. Owen Moore hits an RBI single to right. Johnson scores the tying run. And then they go ahead and take the lead in that second game. That was still in the first game. Then in the second game, Owen Mangini scores on a wild pitch in the bottom of the 6th inning to put Lake City ahead 4-3. So either way, 2 late victories for Lake City, 2-0 start to IEL play, can't draw it up any better for the Timberwolves.
Yeah, and I mean, if I'm Lewiston too, I look at that. I mean, you're playing probably. I mean, Coeur d'Alene's gonna be pretty good this year too. So I think the IEL 5A schedule, I still think favors the Bengals pretty heavily as far as the lineup that they bring in. But I mean, you could also say Moscow's going to be in that mix too. But you look at the 6A. I mean, that's a nice start for Lake City to get a leg up, going 2-0 in league play early on. I mean, that every game's going to be at a premium, I think, this season with that 6A schedule. It's for Lewiston, I'm not throwing up any red flags necessarily. I think that your offense is going to come around, and we talked about Joe Boo and the Bats, kind of making that major league reference last week, but with another team. But I think that's going to come around too, because we've seen offensive output from the Bengals. We saw them, what they were able to do in some of their earlier games. This is a team that can score runs. I think just, the pitching last night handcuffed a little bit. Lake City has some arms in that bullpen. They look really good. And I think these are both teams that could be realistically playoff teams. I mean, that they're both, the talent is there on both of these rosters. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise you to see the Bengals come back and get some nice games, too, against some of the other 6A teams. I mean, we saw, I don't know if we wanted to talk about Coeur d'Alene and Moscow, but we saw them split last night. So, there's games ahead of them that are winnable games, and I'm not going to be freaking out if I'm either team, but that's certainly going to be a beneficial start for the T-Wolves.
Yes, and if we look at the conference standings right now, Lake City 2-0, Coeur d'Alene 3-1. Post Falls has had a couple of doubleheaders already kind of postponed due to bad weather. And so Post Falls still kind of waiting for their first conference game. But Coeur d'Alene basically has swept Lakeland, and they split with Moscow last night. And so 3-1 start there for Coeur d'Alene. Lake City is 2-0. And I think this is probably a good time to remind everybody as well, there is a new format to the state baseball tournament this year. It is now officially a sanctioned sport by the Idaho High School Activities Association. In years past, it was not. In terms of the postseason, basically the coaches came up with their own postseason system. And so when the IHSAA officially took over the sport this spring for the first time, the coaches still had a lot of input, to the point where most of the classifications changed up the format to mirror how college does the College World Series. So basically there's going to be like super regionals ahead of a 4-team state tournament. So the actual state tournament is going to be slimmed down. It's only going to be 4 teams, but you have an opportunity to advance via the super regional. And there's going to be, I think there's going to be 3 different super regionals. So yeah. That's pretty good.
It's a phenomenal idea. I think it's great. It's a great start, especially if you look at some of the teams that we've seen where you have one game where you slip up, and it's a matter of who's bringing the best arms in the first games at state, and some teams try to save them to hope that they can get into a approach where they can throw their ace maybe in game 2. And then we've seen teams obviously piecemeal some of their lineups on the back end, but I really do like this super regional type format. This is great.
Yeah, so I've shared my screen here for those of you that are watching, so you can kind of see. This is from the IHSAA's official website. So it's a 3-team play-in format, double elimination qualifier, 8 teams based on representation, and then there are 4 at-large teams. So there's going to be 12 teams that are basically competing in the state tournament, and then from there, it'll be 4 regions of 3 teams. And so the North champ will get to host one. The East champ will get to host one, and then the top 2 teams from the Boise Valley will get to host there as well. So there is a possibility that Coeur d'Alene and Lake City could both advance to state. I like this, and this is going to be kind of the guinea pig, I think, for others. Nothing official here, but I think it's going to be the guinea pig for other sports to see.
I completely agree. Absolutely. Yeah. I think this is kind of your entry if you wanted to see expansions for, say, basketball. I mean, this is going to be a great guinea pig for that. I could see, not necessarily with the double elimination aspect for football, but I think that there's going to be a lot of ways of seeing this type, like you said, work out in other sports. Volleyball makes a ton of sense too, with having a format like this. Does it give a chance for Cinderella runs? Yeah, I think, it realistically does. And you can get teams get hot at the right time. And then once you get into that 4-team state tournament, I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, to get out of the quote unquote super regional to find your way into the state rounds. It's going to be great, very competitive, and it gives you a chance to throw your aces earlier than normal. If you're looking at state play, you can go round 1 and throw your ace, and might get a chance to, if you have to play a game 3, on short rest, maybe you get a couple innings out of your best guy again, or you get a chance to maybe save them up for the state tournament too. So this is really cool. It's a great thing.
Yes. So again, there's going to be 4 of these 3-team super regionals. The 4 super regional winners will then advance to state, where you'll see just a 4-team double elimination bracket. So this is really also going to eliminate, I think, the teams that just get hot and have a good game or two at the district tournament, right? This is going to really, you're going to have to earn it. And I think the idea is let's get the absolute best teams competing for the state championship, which we don't always see in other sports.
No, I mean, we've seen it in years past where you've seen 2 teams like Coeur d'Alene and Lake City be neck and neck, and only one of them gets a state berth. And that other team sitting at home, has a better record than, say, the number 3 team out of the SIC or out of East Idaho or, any of those other areas. So, yeah, this is an opportunity. Your best teams are going to be showing up and they can have their claim to say, if they make it out of the regionals, they punch their ticket, and they deserve that ticket being punched to get into the state tournament. And plus, then the state being the double elimination round, that you can play that true championship game if it has to happen. On the back side of that tournament, that's a big deal. That's pretty dang cool.
Yep. I'm excited for it. We'll see how it all shakes out. That's for sure. Okay. So that's kind of what's going on in baseball. I did want to note now as we move on, that's the 6A tournament. A lot of the other classifications are adopting a similar format. For example, 5A is going to have that format. The class 4A will have, let me see here. Yep, they're going to do it as well. I think only the small schools are not. 3A is going to do it, and then the 2A, there's just not enough teams, right? There's only the North and the South. So,
and you look at it too, the dominance. I mean, it leans. This is the one sport that actually gets the favoritism with the North, with the numbers that they have, that we've seen the absence of in some of the other sports. To where you can realistically see, 4 teams out of the North make it into the state tournament for baseball. So, I mean, and it's been historically, you want to go by the numbers. I mean, the North has been very dominant in baseball at the 2A tournament. So, I mean, that makes a ton of sense. But I think for the other areas, I mean, especially when you look at 5A with the way that classification shook out this year and the changes that have taken place. I mean, there's, you've got a really decent sized 5A IEL, and the opportunity for getting 2 teams out instead of 1 this year. So you could get a Sandpoint Lewiston or Sandpoint Moscow Lewiston, take a mix of that, and however things shake out at the end, you could realistically get your top 2 teams in, which I think is a huge deal for the 5A, because you haven't necessarily seen that in years past.
Yep, totally agree. So we will keep an eye on it for sure. Speaking of 5A baseball, we had so obviously Moscow played Coeur d'Alene, Lewiston played Lake City. Well, Sandpoint and Lakeland got together yesterday as well for a double dip. Lakeland walks it off in the first game. Taj Elwood hits a walk-off single in the bottom of the 7th inning. Lakeland wins 9-8 over Sandpoint, but the Bulldogs come back and get revenge in the second game of the Twin Bills, 6-1. So those two split. If we look at the very early standings still in 5A baseball, and I think coming in, Lewiston was kind of pegged as the favorite coming in. Lewiston's been a pretty competitive 6A team over the years. It is Lewiston at 3-3 leading the pack. Sandpoint is 2-2. Moscow is 1-1. Lakeland behind the 8 ball a little bit at 1-5. This really is going to come down to, I think everyone's going to take their lumps a little bit against the 6A schools. Who can win the 5A head-to-head matchups?
Yeah, and then, Lakeland at 1-5. I mean, if I'm Coach Bavacqua in that group, I'm not freaking out too much. It's how they had to schedule early on. I mean, they had to play Coeur d'Alene, had to play Lake City. They had to play those bigger schools right early in the season. So, you kind of know that those programs are not just based on sheer school size and numbers. They've got an advantage there based on, talent that comes into the programs. But when you get into the meat of the 5A schedule, I mean, I really do look at this being a very competitive conference. Really, from top to bottom, there's no real doormat. Because when Lakeland's on, I mean, they've got talent. They've got bats. They've got speed on the base path. They've got some decent fielding. There's some nice pieces within that Lakeland program. And you could say the same for Sandpoint, too. And so I think that you're going to see you get closer and closer to the end. There could be 3 teams kind of that haven't necessarily distanced themselves from one or the other as you approach tournament time.
Yep. One last baseball note I wanted to make was at the 2A level, Ryan, where Clearwater Valley is off to a 3-0 start in conference. They beat Lapway last night in Kuski. They're 4-1 overall. But I wanted to highlight a non-conference game that they had last weekend. They went down to the Treasure Valley to play McCall Donnelly, the Vandals. That is a Class 4A program. So here's Clearwater Valley punching 2 levels up. Clearwater Valley gets the win 5-4. It went the full 7 innings plus 2 extras. So this was like a major league game. It went 9 innings, Scaggs. And
that's awesome.
Yes. Coach Bradley says low scoring contest, solid pitching by both squads. He said, I was proud with our starter, Aaron Hicks, who went 3 2/3 innings, 7 strikeouts in 3 2/3 innings, only 2 walks. They turned it over to sophomore Harvey Wellard, his varsity debut on the mound. And all he does is pitch 5 1/3 innings the rest of the way, 9 strikeouts, only 2 walks allowed. And then Lincoln Barger, 2 for 4 on the night, drove in the winning run to walk it off for Clearwater Valley in 9 innings. So
that's a nice win. That's a good win. Yeah.
This White Pine League, of course, is going to be rigorous.
Oh my gosh. I
mean,
think this year of most years this is going to be murderer's row. I mean, you look at the lineups of these teams, it's crazy.
Every team's got stars on it, and the best team hasn't even played yet. Troy. They're still waiting to get their season kicked off here. Every game they've had so far has been wiped out due to weather. And so Troy, I believe 3-time defending state champs, 0-0 still on the ledger, but they're going to be in the mix. Clearwater Valley, certainly. Potlatch, I think, is still going to be pretty decent. We know what Kendrick brings to the table. Prairie is always really good in baseball as well. And then Genesee quietly off to a 2-0 start in White Pine play as well. So, I mean, this is going to be a gauntlet of teams.
There's no easy days in this conference this year. And, but if you're finding yourself on the top 4 lines, coming at the end of the season, you've earned it. I mean, there's realistically 5-6 teams that could be state tournament teams in this league. I mean, there's some great programs.
Yeah. And really, I think, there's going to be like 6 teams that are in the mix to go to state this year. So we shall see.
That's huge.
Yep. Okay, let's move over to softball, where we had some interesting action yesterday. A lot of the same matchups we talked about in baseball. The softball teams also played the same opponents. I wanted to highlight Lakeland right off the jump. They get the split with Sandpoint. 13-3 victory for Lakeland in the first game. Kirsten Drake, 2 home runs in the victory. In fact, I'll pull up her final stat line, but even more remarkable for Lakeland was it was their first win over Sandpoint in softball since 2021. Yeah,
that's awesome. I mean, that's a big win for the program. And, you look at some of these rallies that these teams have had, and Lakeland, being able to get some nice pieces in that lineup now too, and Sandpoint, being able to do what they're doing. We know what Moscow's been in the years past, and Lewiston split with Lake City last night. This league is competitive, and there's no easy nights now. You're kind of seeing Lakeland winning that first game 13-3. Sandpoint comes back and wins 9-8 in the nightcap last night in that doubleheader, and Bailey Lancaster was 4 for 4 with 2 doubles and 4 RBIs in the second game. And then Tegan Newsom hit that walk-off single to center field to win it for the Bulldogs, who split with Lakeland. That's a big win. That's a great job for both those teams. And I think, like you said, every game is going to be important in this conference this year. And, you can start getting on a bit of a roll. You may know what the 6A teams can do. And then with Lewiston coming down this year, everybody kind of penciled in the Bengals to maybe be the dominant team within conference. And, some of these other teams are saying not so fast. So that's pretty cool to see.
Yep. In that first game, Kirsten Drake for Lakeland, 2 for 2, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, 4 runs. She also reached on a walk and a hit by pitch and even stole a base. So, I mean, she did like literally a little bit of everything for Lakeland in that 13-3 win. And then you mentioned it, the walk-off for Sandpoint in the second game, 9-8 final for the Bulldogs. And, oh, by the way, Drake homered again in the second game. So she hit 3 home runs yesterday between the 2 games, which is phenomenal. We had a 2-homer game as well yesterday from Lake City. Layla Gugino hit 2 home runs in one game as Lewiston and Lake City earned the split at Airport Park over there in Lewiston. 8-7 win for the Bengals in the first game as they walk it off, and then an 8-3 win for Lake City in the second game.
Yeah, no, big wins. And I mean, it's just like we just keep, I feel like I'm beating the dead horse here and kind of hit and repeat on the record. But, like we said, that there's the competition level, I think, has improved so much within this conference that it's kind of hard to ignore.
In that first game that Lewiston won 8-7, they trailed 7-3 when the bottom of the 7th started. They scored 5 times, including a 2-run shot by Gugino. And so, I mean, that's just incredible. So,
yeah. And then you look at Lewiston too, in that first game, Jenna Barney on the bump, 11 strikeouts in a complete game. I mean, great job by her in that first game. And the Bengals obviously getting the win 8-7 in that game, but the bats came alive too, which was a nice thing to see for both teams, that the offense was showing up, especially for the T-Wolves in that second game.
Yep, for sure. I did want to mention as well, kind of some standouts. It's a new feature we're doing this year on IdahoSports.com. Every Wednesday, we will have our heavy hitters and our primetime pitchers. Basically, we'll look at the previous week of action, Wednesday to Tuesday, because that's when the season started on a Wednesday. That's why we do it then. And we're going to highlight the best baseball and softball hitting and pitching performances statewide for each day of the week. And so for North Idaho, obviously Kirsten Drake from Lakeland gets the nod for her performance yesterday. And then on the baseball side, last Thursday, we talked about Aiden Olive from Orofino on the baseball mound, how he threw that perfect game to start off the season. Well, then he did it at the plate, 5 for 6, a triple, 3 doubles, 8 RBIs, 4 runs, 2 walks, a stolen base. Orofino took Colton behind the woodshed, 44-0, the final score.
That wasn't our only 40-run game.
I know.
Because, and I'm saying 40 runs in a baseball or a softball game is just wild. Because Clearwater Valley beat Lapway in softball 40-1. I mean, the offensive outpouring from these teams is absolutely, this is insanity. I mean, that's in a 3-inning game. You win 40-1. I mean, that's just wild.
Yeah, good to see from our baseball and softball teams for sure. Okay, let's turn the page to some other sports. Here's Valerie Johansson, Val in the chat here. Tegan Newsom, you were talking about Tegan earlier, wrestling district champ. Love those multi-sport athletes. And hey, while we're talking about wrestling, how about Ridge Lovett from Post Falls? First national champion in NCAA wrestling from Idaho in some time. Won it for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Way to go.
That was amazing too, getting the 1-0 win in the championship. That was an unbelievable, and the entire finals. I mean, some people are watching March Madness at the same time. To see the viewership increase of wrestling, this is kind of getting on our wrestling soapbox, and the night that wrestling had on Saturday with the drama and the upsets and that was an awesome night of wrestling at the NCAAs. That was incredible. And Ridge, congratulations. And they released the list of people that are going to be on. Ridge will be honored at the Hall of Fame banquet here at the Coeur d'Alene Resort coming up in April. So, and deservedly so. He's going to be a highlighted college athlete from North Idaho. And congratulations to him capping that, national championship at Nebraska and what he's been able to do with the Cornhuskers. 2-time All-American. Just a phenomenal career there at Nebraska.
Yeah, pretty awesome. So I do agree. I think March Madness had more drama than March Madness.
By far. This was the most boring NCAA basketball tournament I can remember in some time.
Yeah, you're just saying that because Gonzaga bounced early.
No, I mean, I didn't really have them. I didn't even have them picked to beat Houston. I had them to beat Georgia, but I didn't think they were more competitive than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, March Madness was it was awesome, man. The NCAA's were phenomenal.
Yep, pretty awesome. So, okay, back to spring sports. Here's Max Oswald from the Bonner County Bee in the chat. Shout out to Priest Rivers, Braden Lamana. Track and field broke the 3,200 meter school record at the Sweeney Invite, time of 9:47:21. Previous record set all the way back in 1980, 9:51.6. That's going to transition perfectly into our recap of the Sweeney Invite. It was by far the biggest track and field competition over the weekend, hosted by Lewiston, and for the first time, the new P1FCU Activity Center, the outdoor facility,
not the complex.
The complex. Thank you. The P1FCU Activity Center is at LC State. I want to make sure yes, the new outdoor complex at Lewiston High hosted a track and field meet, smashing success.
Oh, that facility is going to be unbeatable as far as what's available in North Idaho at the high school level. I mean, obviously we got some great college facilities, but that is bar none one of the best facilities in the state, in my opinion. And yeah, I mean, we saw some great times come out of the Sweeney, and I mean, we saw Lake City for the boys 4x1. They've got the number one time overall in the state, 43.97. That was ran this weekend and in not ideal weather. Also, I mean, it was a little cool down there. Down there, it's the Sweeney. We saw some great times, some good throws came in too, and some good, javelin obviously, but that's a McCall Donnelly kid, so I'm not going to mention him too much. But we saw some all-state times and marks that were shown down there. And then will say too, I mean, if you look at marks right now on track, the North is showing out pretty well. Sandpoint has the number one 4x2 time in the state, 132.7. That was actually set last night in the duel with Lakeland. And then on the girls' side, you've got the 4x1 team of Lakeland right now has the number one time in the state for any classification at 50.24. So there's some really nice times being turned out. And Sage Elvin at the Sweeney, I mean, she was impressive in the discus, throwing 138, 3.5, has the number one throw in the state of Idaho right now for any classification. And then Evie McGraw from Coeur d'Alene has the number one triple jump at 36.11, and that was turned in down there in Lewiston also.
Yeah, we had one multi-event winner, both boys and girls. So that shows you kind of the talent that was there. Yeah. There was only one athlete that won multiple events. It was Lakeland Sapphire Ruel taking the 1 and the 2 on the girls' side. So Congratulations there. That was awesome. Team titles, Lewiston won the girls' title with 104.5 points. Coeur d'Alene a distant second, 85.5. Coeur d'Alene boys win the team title over Clarkston, 91-83. So
I like this event too, because you look at the 100 meter. I'll just cherry pick an event. The 100 meter final. You know, Gio Carlino from Post Falls runs an 11-1. Caden Tony from Lake City runs an 11-2, finishes in second. Sawyer Hewitt from Kendrick finishes third, running an 11-3. And then Brower from Lewiston at 11-3-7. He's in fourth. I mean, the different teams that are present is pretty awesome to see at that Sweeney Invite. And they do such a great job running that event. I mean, it used to be down at Volmer Bowl. Now they get to have it at the P1FCU Athletic Complex there at Lewiston, and just an awesome job. And how tight some of these races were, just all classifications present. The small school kids get a step toe-to-toe with the big school kids, and they held their own. I mean, there's some great times that were turned in by some of the small school kids, so that was awesome to see.
Yep, really cool. Looking forward to the Sweeney Invite getting bigger and better in future years, but year one at the P1FCU Complex, pretty darn good there over in Lewiston. Okay, let's wrap up with a little tennis and a little golf. Tennis, Sandpoint sweeps Lakeland 12-0. Coeur d'Alene last night sweeps Lakeland 12-0. Let's start with the Bulldogs. All 12 matches with the victory. Pepper Rickert, of course, defending her singles title as a sophomore, was outstanding. Didn't drop a single game against Lakeland. Neither did Bella Bailey, actually. So 2 singles players go untouched throughout. That's just part of the highlight for Sandpoint on the girls' side. Spoiler alert, Sandpoint, the favorites in boys and girls tennis again in that Inland Empire League.
I look at Coeur d'Alene. I mean, Coeur d'Alene's going to be really good this year too. So
sorry, 5A inland.
5A. Yeah, I know. I understand what you mean. I'm just saying Coeur d'Alene, I think at 6A is going to be surprisingly competitive as well. So there's going to be some nice battles that we're going to see as the season progresses and we get some of these tournaments underway. And coming up next year, you're going to have, or not next year, next month, some big tournaments down south, some big tournaments in Spokane. So, it's going to be awesome to see these marquee athletes. I mean, Pepper Rickert, we know she's phenomenal. I mean, she's very, very high rated tennis player, and we're going to see her be able to kind of flex some muscle against some of the topper, upper end players in the state of Idaho and Washington and Oregon for that matter.
Yeah. Here's Max throwing in even more. Sandpoint also had their way with Post Falls early this season as well. Jacob Dawson, Nathan Duke, Caden Martz all won 6-0, 6-0 in boys singles against Post Falls. So, holy smokes.
Yeah, so what will we see? I mean, as Sandpoint's schedule progresses, hopefully we'll see them step toe-to-toe with, some of the 6A talent from, maybe Southern Idaho, Eastern Idaho, but also, the GSL schools. There's some good players in Spokane as well. So we'll see how these Bulldogs continue to progress as things move on through the season and see if they can get a repeat on the girls' side. I know that our friend Sean Kane would hopefully have something to say about that. But and then see what the boys do this year. I think the boys are going to be very competitive too in tennis this year at the 5A ranks.
Yeah, Sean Kane, our East Idaho Prepcaster, also the head tennis coach at Century High School over there in Pocatello. I think his boys is where he's thinking he might have a shot this year. So,
yep.
Sandpoint,
a little bit.
Sandpoint girls, the runway is clear. We'll see if Bishop Kelly or somebody could make it interesting, but man, I don't think so. Okay. Up next for the Bulldogs, they are going to the Larry McConnell tournament. I got to be honest, I'm not sure where that is. Do you know?
That's in Clarkston. Yeah. Okay. So Larry, I know Larry or knew Larry. He God rest his soul. He passed away a few years ago. Just an awesome man. He was a tennis coach at Clarkston High School for a long time. He was a teacher of mine. Just a great person and an awesome family. And his son actually coaches at Mount Spokane High School. And yeah, that tournament down there, you get nice weather in the valley when it gets warm, and there's some great facilities in the LC Valley to play. I think they play that on both sides of the river, matches in Clarkston, and then obviously at Lewiston High School's new courts. And I think that they'll use the old Lewiston courts as well down there off 11th Avenue. So that's going to be a competitive meet as well. And, you'll get teams coming from the Tri-Cities and from Spokane as well. And there's going to be some competition for the Bulldogs down there for sure. I think you're going to start seeing some better, equal competition start stepping into the fray.
Yep. So they've got that coming up. That is in 2 days down there in Clarkston. And then they'll have the Lewiston Elite Invite at the end of April. And then, of course, the Inland Empire tournament over in Spokane. That's really going to be the big one.
Inland Empires, yeah, that's a great event, man. That's a phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, you got 9 venues where they host that tournament across the city of Spokane and in Spokane County. So we obviously know what that tournament. 72 teams was there last year.
That's awesome. That's cool. And then finally, let's wrap up with golf. Yes, golf has started.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up on the country club, right?
That's right. We had the Lapway Invitational hosted at Red Wolf Golf Club in Clarkston yesterday. I saw a picture on social media of the Kellogg golf team. The bus was very dark, very quiet. They had to get up and I think hit the road at 5:30 to get over there in time to compete in this thing. And so all the Kellogg golfers were still kind of snoozing on the team bus as the sun was just coming up over the horizon. So that was kind of cool to see. In terms of the actual results, the boys competition goes to Kellogg. They win it with a score of 369. They ace out Wallace by 9 strokes. Wallace takes second. And then in the girls competition, Lapway wins the home meet with a total of 450. That is 18 strokes ahead of second place Clarkston at 468. Your individual medalists on the boys' side, it ended up being Palmer Coleman from Priest River and Johnny Stubborn from Kellogg. They each shot an 82, and I believe they just shared the title. I don't think it went to a playoff or anything like that.
Yeah, they shared the medalist award, and that's a great place to play. I mean, it's formerly the Clarkson Country Club, and the Nez Perce Tribe purchased it and turned it in. I mean, they've done a lot of work to that course too, and you get some nice scores down there. You're always getting, the weather was phenomenal down the valley yesterday too. I mean, it was over 70 degrees. And today I think it's going to be close to 80. So, I mean, if there's other events going on in the area, certainly a nice day to play golf yesterday and today. But, I mean, we saw obviously the scores reflect, the good conditions down there, and some nice shooting from, small school golf in the spring. I really love to watch this. And they switched the seasons up and moved the larger schools to the fall a few years back. And I like how they showcase, 3A, 4A, 3A, and 2A schools that get to play golf in the spring. And I think they do a really nice job of that. And they get to play things in Washington because they play golf in the spring in Washington, seeing some of those schools present too, like Clarkston. That's a big win for those teams to get the medalist awards like Lapway and Kellogg.
Yep. On the girls' side, the individual medalist was Malia Miller from Timberlake. Timberlake does not have enough girls to fill out a full roster. So they didn't even factor into the team race. There was only 4 teams that were competing: Lapway, Clarkston, St. Mary's, and Logos. And so, but Malia Miller from Timberlake ends up taking the title. And then, honestly, Faith Shorey from Kellogg finished. I'm trying to see where she finished. The way these are listed is not necessarily in the order that they finished. So Kellogg was there as well. They had a couple of individuals, not enough for a team. Same story with Priest River. I hope they get enough. Maybe it's early in the season, but I don't know. I'd like to see the full. You only need 5 to fill out a full lineup card, but we'll see if some of our girls golf teams can get there. So.
Yeah, I mean, Malia getting a medalist award, though. I mean, we know what she can do on the basketball court, but to see her take over on the links is nice to see too. And as condition, like we talk about, weather improving, you're going to see these scores continue to drop. And these kids are so dang lucky to play golf in North Idaho because some of the courses they get to play. I mean, it's like a dream for any normal guy that likes to recreational play. Some of these courses these kids get to play at.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. That is for sure. So, all right, that'll do it for this edition of the North Idaho Prepcast. Ryan, go enjoy the nice weather, okay? Don't be inside all day.
Yeah, I won't. I mean, I got to take the snow tires off today, but so officially. So.
Oh, you're doing it.
Got my appointment this afternoon, so I had to buy new tires for my wife's car and got to take off the snows before I head over there. So yeah.
See, I still don't try. I'm waiting until the end of the month to just in case there's a fluke. Something that happens.
You'll be all right.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck with that. And thank you for tuning in to the North Idaho Prepcast, everybody. We'll see you back here next Wednesday for another edition. For Ryan Scaggs, I'm Brandon Baney on IdahoSports.com.